The off-season activities of NHL hockey players are seldom of that much interest, but the travels of Bobby Hull of the Chicago Blackhawks are of a great deal of interest to hundreds of thousands of Canadians right across the country. So a Kaleidosport film crew went along with Bobby and his business partner when they went to look at Saskatchewan. Bobby, you know, has just moved his cattle interests from Ontario to the province of Saskatchewan. On this trip, they went fishing in an area about 400 miles north of Saskatoon. We were there to watch him discover this new land of his and also find some great fishing.
The main party flew northward to Cree Lake in Beechcraft 18, a 9-seater aircraft operated and owned by Ray's Flying Services Limited of Saskatoon. The largest plane of Ray Fournier's extensive air fleet, the Beechcraft represents the only link between the isolated fishing camp and civilization. The honorary co-pilot on this occasion is Bobby Hull, learning the plane's working characteristics from owner Ray Fournier himself. A necessary and integral part of the fishing camp's existence, Ray Fournier's flying service regularly transports avid fishermen from the airport terminal at Saskatoon northward, the last leg of an air journey often bringing sportsmen from as far south as California on the trail of the Big Pike. Only experienced bush pilots such as Fournier and his senior pilot John Olson can confidently cope with the rugged navigational problems and the rough field landings and takeoffs required. The main party flew northward to Cree Lake in Beechcraft 18, a 9-seater aircraft operated and owned by Ray's Flying Services Limited of Saskatoon. The largest plane of Ray Fournier's extensive air fleet, the Beechcraft represents the only link between the isolated fishing camp and civilization. The honorary co-pilot on this occasion is Bobby Hull, learning the plane's working characteristics from owner Ray Fournier himself. A necessary and integral part of the fishing camp's existence, Ray Fournier's flying service regularly transports avid fishermen from the airport terminal at Saskatoon northward, the last leg of an air journey often bringing sportsmen from as far south as California on the trail of the Big Pike. Only experienced bush pilots such as Fournier and his senior pilot John Olson can confidently cope with the rugged navigational problems and the rough field landings and takeoffs required for the job. At the landing strip, camp owner Jerry Hammersmith and his Indian guides were on hand, welcoming Hull, Walter Horn, CBC sportscaster Beatty Martin, and the rest of the party.
Yeah, they get lucky once in a while. Here we go. Aren't you? Here we go. Jerry, Bobby Hull, Jerry Hammersmith.
Hi, Jerry.
Bobby.
How you doing? Thank you.
Lawrence
John. Lawrence. Bobby. Kennedy.
Hi, Uncle. How do you do?
Johnny Morgan.
Hello, John.
It's Isaac Blackwood.
Hello, Isaac.
Good to see you, boy.
And Jerry, this is Bobby's partner,
Excuse me.
Walter Horn, Jerry Hammersmith.
Walter.
Nice to see you.
All the guys, Isaac.
Hi there, Isaac. How are you doing today?
Maybe they can
Hi
tell us
there.
something about the cattle business.
How are you doing?
Jerry, how's the fishing been?
Oh, it's been a
Actually, the Chippewayan Indian guides could know little indeed about cattle, for as their tribal name implies, they follow the caribou. But surprisingly, one of them at least is a real hockey fan, although shortwave radio is the only media to regularly penetrate the vast northwest area. The Chippewayan Indians, incidentally, have ranged from northwest Saskatchewan to northeast Alberta from time immemorial.
Knows every hockey player from
the
Timbuktu to
the National League. And he
Is that right, Lawrence?
hockey player.
And who's your favorite team?
Chicago.
Oh, there, you had the right answer,
Okay.
too.
Well, I think
All
we're
right.
ready to go.
He used to be a Rangers fan.
Oh,
but
did
you guys are curious.
What about when Hal was out here? I bet he was a Detroit fan.
At Cree Lake Lodge, a half-dozen roomy self-contained cabins like this provide the visiting fisherman with all the comforts of a first-class hotel moved to the wilderness. 2 generations of Hammersmiths help manage and maintain the lodge operation, and this senior team of Alvin Alley Hammersmith and his wife are active from dawn to dusk. Some 15 years ago, 2 men pioneered the area and began the fishing operation in a tourist-pleasing way. They were Martin Engman and Henry Weitzel. Mr. Engman still lives and works here with the present owners, while his old partner, Henry Weitzel, lies buried here on this height overlooking the endless variety and movement of Cree Lake. Like most of the employed half-dozen Indian guides, Rick and Lawrence John here live on the lodge site and divide the busy seasons between guiding and trapping. Expert with boats, tackle, and the fishing technique, these and the other guides, such as Alfred and Johnny Mongrin, Clement John and August Mackenzie, are truly followers of the caribou, and the mink, and the big northerns, too, for that matter. Mrs. Hammersmith, Sr., is almost as expert as her husband, Allie, in spotting trouble before it begins. And with the required outlay of $400 for each boat flown up here to Cree Lake, advanced maintenance is a necessary gift well worth developing. That's the rule of thumb up here in the wilderness. Just add the cost of 20 cents per pound to the cost of anything and everything in, on, or about the lodge property to assess its true value. Taking the opportunity of the woods for a quiet business conference, Bobby Hull and his new cattle partner, Walter Horn, stroll through the remote beauty surrounding the Cree Lake Lodge. Horn, a successful western cattleman, came into Hull's business orbit when the 2 men found they could work and make money together and decided to merge their respective beef cattle interests, now based solely in Saskatchewan. For Bobby Hull, the move liquidates his former partnership in Prince Edward County, Ontario, with the expectation that Walter Horn's 100% dedication to business will complement Hull's own strong dedication to professional hockey 8 months of every year. Then, too, there are some tax benefits to be considered, with Saskatchewan bettering Ontario in this respect.
Well, Bobby, how do you like this for a change of pace from that racing around the cities and...
Tremendous place to spend a few days away from all the telephones and television
And the
and
radio,
everything else.
yeah, everything
It's
else.
wonderful out here.
It's relaxing,
tremendous.
isn't it?
Right. I hope we can catch some fish.
Oh, we'll catch some fish. There's lots of big fish around here. Yeah, we'll get lots of fish. And we'll get some nice atmosphere and lots of rest and good company.
Well, I don't know about the rest part of it. I think just being here is rest enough.
Yeah? What do you, you look out and you see the rocks. Beautiful up in the country. It's a challenge, you know, to the imagination, really, isn't it?
Coming across there in those small boats with the guides, it was tremendous. How they,
Well, here come our 2 hosts.
You got it all laid out there.
Come and join us.
Thank you.
Sit down. Jerry? Relax.
That's great for a change.
Yeah, is it ever?
Tremendous host and hostess.
Well, thank
Certainly
you.
enjoyed it so far.
Good. Well, I hope we can tie into some of those fish out there when the wind goes down.
This is what we're looking forward to.
yeah.
But by the way, how long has this been in operation here at Cree Lake? Your operation?
Well, the operation itself has been going as such for about 10 years. This is just our 4th year. We took it over in the fall of '66 and we've done a little bit on it ourselves.
Well, did you and your dad actually begin this, or was there something here before that?
No, it was started originally by an old trapper who still lives here and still works for us, Mark Engman. He and his partner built a couple of log cabins and took fellows in for a few years, starting in about '58. And they sold out to a couple of fellows from Saskatoon who we bought the place from.
Oh, they sure know how to live, that's for sure.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
good.
they've got the right idea.
How about Lynn? Does she like it up there, Jerry?
Oh, I think she tells me she does.
Jerry, you seem to get real good use out of your guides. You have these people here all year round, are they not? The natives?
That's right. Yeah, they trap in the wintertime and work for us in the summer. And well, as I've told you many times, they are really fine guides.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that the Cree Lake Lodge now is becoming almost predominantly Canadian visitors, and where in the past it was almost exclusively American visitors. But you were saying that the percentage has changed increasingly in the last few years.
This is something that, well, we've really noticed this year. Our percentage of Canadian business is somewhere between 70 and 80%, where we used to be lucky to get 5%. And I'm really happy to see that Canadians are making more use of what is theirs.
They're getting a little smarter.
Yeah, know the places to go.
You know, you can go to Vegas and blow $1,000 and think nothing of it, but right next door where you've got beautiful scenery and terrific fishing, we tend to ignore it.
Yeah.
I think many people, even Canadians, are surprised that Saskatchewan has this to offer. They think of Saskatchewan as prairies and Bobby Hull's ranch and so on.
It takes a little effort. Well, then, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this?
Working.
Doing all that hard work.
Oh, it isn't hard work at all. You enjoy it because you have a lot of nice people up here and you don't mind doing stuff at all.
Well, now, you and Jerry got married, will be a year ago, what, about June?
Maybe 17th.
May, and so this is really your second summer here.
Yeah, right.
And that's quite a change from your life as a university student, and isn't it?
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it an awful lot. You know, I can see why the Americans and the Canadians want to come up here for a rest because I know after spending the winter in Saskatoon, I'm looking forward to getting back up here. It's just a different sort of life.
Bobby, so far it's been just terrific. I know the next few days are going to be great. And Jerry and Lynn, we're really pleased to be here.
Well, we're pleased to have you.
Nice having
Well,
you.
I know one thing. My partner in the farming operation in the cattle business is along with us, BD, as you know, Walter Horn, and
I think that
he is just chafing at the bit to get a hold of one of those lunkers out there. And
Well,
I
you can't see him right
I
now. He's
just
down fishing.
I
fishing.
want the old camera to get a shot of him when he hooks onto about a 25-pounder. I'm sure that'll be worth its weight in gold right there.
Well, it won't be long until we'll get at it. I guess tomorrow morning we'll be out bright and early, Jerry.
We'll time into one.
Good.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to that, Bobby. aren't we?
That's for sure. Can't wait until tomorrow morning comes.
At 6 a.m., Beatty Martin and Walter Horn were ready to go fishing. Stepping out into the cool morning after the snug comfort of their Cree Lake cabins with their electric light, flush toilets, unbelievable hot showers, and shaving ease, it was difficult to remember these facilities existed nearly 400 miles north of civilization. Modern to the last detail and comfort, the lodge buildings, a capital investment of some $125,000, operates its own diesel-run 15-kilowatt generator with water pressure maintained by 1,300 gallons stored in tanks on the hill behind the camp.
Red and white. Where's your gear?
My gear's down the boat there.
Oh, well, listen, I'll get Bob. I'll get Bob, and I'll see you down there
Okay.
down at the kitchen, all right?
Okay, we'll be
Good.
down.
Right, all right,
Okay.
good.
Okay, B.
Hey, Bob. Up and at 'em. Just look at that lake. Just look at that lake. Did they-
The fish aren't even out this early, BD.
They got the word is out. We're here today.
Well, okay.
Looks good. The water looks good.
Just have to brush my teeth, throw a shirt on, and I'll be ready for
Down the
breakfast.
kitchen.
Right.
Good, okay.
Tell them to get some Hardy on.
All right.
We'll be there.
Thanks, Dee.
Two fishermen and a guide to each boat, with destination already decided by experts. Tackle and gear is routinely stowed away, for it's a long run to the chosen fishing ground, and many a mile of windswept water lies ahead for the 20-horsepower outboards to navigate. And beneath the professional calm of the individual guides is a well-honed sense of rivalry. Within each quarter mile of Cree Lake water, each guide has his own secret theory of just where the big pike are.
Hello, Jonas. How are you this morning? Okay? Hi, Lawrence.
Hello, boy.
You want us in your boat over here?
Beatty and I are going in your boat.
We're going with Alfred because he said the big one's out there.
All right.
We're counting on it, Alfred. Big one's there.
Albert, how are you? Good to see you this morning.
These heavy 262-pound aluminum 18-foot boats go best on the choppy open water stretches and give the fishermen aboard maximum space to cast and see and move about. Bobby Hull and the other fishermen will use mostly spinning rods with from 6 to 15-pound test line and any plug, spinner, or lure of their choice. In Saskatchewan, incidentally, live bait is prohibited as the province strives to rid its lakes of carp, so prevalent in live minnow bait supplies.
I got wet. Where's yours, Walter? Right here. Throw her.
As the boats get ready to shove off, the guides and fishermen have already enjoyed a full breakfast prepared by Dick Bailey, a graduate of chef school, whose sideline is baking excellent homemade bread. On each boat is a supply of everything but an entree for lunch. That's to be supplied later when the fish are caught, and they will be caught in time for a shore lunch. Without the guides, Cree Lake fishing would probably take place a few hundred feet from the boat dock. With the competent Indians running the boats, the 55-mile-long lake finds its 25-mile width a safe and familiar fishing ground. Predictably, Black Hawk Bobby Hull caught the first fish, a medium-sized 13.5-pound northern pike, which was considered big enough for lunch, helped, of course, by a 6-pounder caught by Beatty Martin. Northern pike dominates the 600 square miles of water which forms sprawling Cree Lake, but lake trout up to 40 pounds can be caught for the trolling, while Arctic grayling are plentiful in nearby Cree River. Set to a low-geared troll speed, the Indian guides seldom stop their outboards even when the passengers are casting for pike, and their guests quickly learn the Indians' expert methods of fishing a lake. With apparently endless fishing spots available, the Cree Lake guides believe in maximum lake coverage in a minimum of time, and it works. Acting as a spotter, this Piper Super Cub aircraft, also from Ray's Flying Service, patrols the fishing expedition, always on the lookout for a trouble call or perhaps a call for shore lunch. Like an amphibious invasion of some Pacific island, plane and boats head in for shore lunch. Traditionally and expertly, the lunch is cooked and prepared by the Indian guides. Earlier, while taking off from the lodge dock, someone had joked with owner Jerry Hammersmith. "I see you've only supplied beans, bread, dessert, and coffee for lunch, Jerry. What happens if we don't catch fish?" The University of Saskatchewan lecturer, come lodge owner, frowned at the speaker in his best academic style. "If you fellows don't catch fish for lunch, you'll be the first failures I've ever had," he said. But no problem. Once ashore with Bobby Hull's big fish and several others to boot, cleaning them was the next step.
That's a good one, eh? That came in on a...
The Piper Super Cub makes a smooth landing to join in for a delectable shore lunch.
You gonna clean this, boss? You gonna clean this, boss?
Oh, I think Lawrence had better show me how it's done.
First you have to cut the fin out. Here. See? Then you cut the fin out, then you gut it. This way. After you gut it, then you have to blade this way.
Right along the backbone, eh?
Right around the backbone. So you have to leave the bone here.
Can't eat bones anyhow, can you?
No.
Lawrence, eh?
No.
Look at
I
that.
find a
Whole
place
side
for
of
this
that
one here. This one. So I can turn them over. Do the same on this side.
My dad can learn here now. From Lawrence. So,
That's your side.
we always scale. We always scaled him.
You learning how here, do you think?
I think I've got the knack of that. I don't know. I'm a little afraid of that knife. I saw Lawrence putting the edge on it earlier.
Finish that up and we can... You're on a frying pan. I'll just put that in the pan with the others, Lawrence, and we're off and running, okay?
That's a nice piece of
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, Lawrence, that was a great job.
How's it coming, Officer?
With the pike fillets sizzling in the pans, the whole beach took on an appetizing aroma. Using a special egg, sugar, and flour mixture as a dip and a cornmeal roll for the fresh fillets, they were fried to the consistency of cake. Few lunches lock into one's memory with the authoritative sight, sound, smell, and taste of Cree Lake pike. Although professional hockey seemed far away, it became the subject in one of the fishing boats after lunch.
Bobby, with another NHL season not too far away, and with all the awards and honors that you've received over the years, is there really anything left for you to conquer in the National Hockey League?
Well, at the beginning of every season, BD, I don't really set any goals for myself, and over the past 13 years that I've been playing for the Chicago Blackhawks, I've never really at the beginning of any season said, well, I'd like to do this, I'd like to score so many goals, or we're gunning for first place or the Stanley Cup, because you're always, whenever you do that, I've found throughout, not only in hockey, but all phases of life, whenever you plan on something, it never seems to work out that way. So I just play the seasons as they come and hope that I can stay healthy, and well, if I can stay healthy, then everything else looks after itself.
Right, right. You played against some really great ones, and I'd say aside from personal friendships or sentiment, who really is the greatest hockey player that you have played against?
Well, here again, when you're going to try to compare different hockey players, and over the 13 years I have played with and against a number of greats, and I think that I think everyone would have to say that the tremendous effort and record of Gordie Howe's, his number of years in the league, and the tremendous goal output and point output, and his devotion and dedication to the game itself, I think he'd have to go down as likely the greatest that I've seen play. Although there's a kid now playing in the league by the name of Bobby Orr that looks pretty good, and for an individual to do the things that he's done in the short period of time that he's been playing in the NHL, I can't see that if he sticks around for another 10 or 12 years that anyone's going to touch him. He's just fantastic.
You know what the NHL should do for you personally? I mean, for all you've done for them. What they should do for you is they should say, this is Bobby Howe month, when nobody bothers him. I mean, let them go and play hockey, you know, like you did when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Just let you go and, you know, play the way you can without jumping all over you.
Well, I've always thought that before I finished playing, BD, that I'd like to play one season where I was just looked upon as an ordinary left winger, and forget about these guys that the different clubs have that go out there and really do nothing more than go up and down with me and check. And when I do get the puck, not have 2 and 3 guys take a run at me, and I think it would be just heaven, really. It would be.
I tell you,
I might not be able to handle it. I wouldn't know what to do.
Right, there are nights when you hardly let you pass. You know, they try to get you when you go around the goal, and that's their whole strategy is designed on collaring you. It must be very, very frustrating. Playing in Chicago, Bob, you've had a good opportunity to assess expansion in the National Hockey League. Have they moved too fast into too many towns?
Well, the way I see it, BD, they have diluted the talent by quite a lot. And in talking with different people, I sense that they've become somewhat less interested in the teams because mainly they don't know all the individuals.
Yeah.
And I know even throughout the year when we're playing different clubs and they make some changes, I have to ask guys in the club, you know, like who's this and
Yeah,
who's that. But
yeah.
when we had the 6 original teams, of course we knew everybody on every club, and if any changes were made, of course it didn't take us very long to know who was being changed.
They made it
and
in
what
a little club, yeah.
for, right.
Right.
And now I think after this expansion of the 6 teams and now again 2 more teams, they've taken a half a dozen guys from each of the 6 parent clubs and added new fellas to the 6 clubs, the original 6 clubs, and it has diluted the talent to the extent that the National League, I don't feel, really registers that tremendous high echelon that it used to have 4 years ago.
Right. You knew every game was going to be very competitive,
Right.
and now you can pick your winners without too much difficulty. And of course, you have with so many new clubs, it's very difficult for us, of course, to follow them too. You know, in the sports business, and I think the people, as you say, without being able to identify with the players, certainly have got to lose interest. Now, and this, of course, in Canada, it was, you know, once the Canadian game, the identity of Canada was hockey. Golly, now we only got 3 teams in a big league, and I'd like to see more Canadian teams there. Do you think it's possible?
Well, it's
Or is it
possible,
important?
but right now I feel that the National Hockey League has to kind of stick to its guns with their... Sure, they've made the move to the 14 clubs now, and they're going to have to wait, I'm sure, for a few years until they can get that talent built up to the point where it was before they made the first expansion. There are enough good young hockey players coming up into the National League where it'll take a few years for them to develop into that real top group of individuals that there used to be. And along with this, the colleges are putting out a lot of good hockey players. Looking on our club last year, Keith Magnuson, Jerry Pinder, Cliff Corral, Tony Esposito were all called on. Of course, Tony had played a few games for Montreal the year before, and Cliff Corral had played down in Dallas in that league, but the other kids had really come right out of college, and they were asked to do a tremendous job, and they did. They just did a whale of a job.
I think there was 12 drafted in the NHL last year at college. Is this where the players are going to come from now, do you think, from college?
I think a lot of them will.
More
I think
so?
a lot of them will, and the people in the United States keep asking, well, when are we going to have more products from the United States? And I feel that with all the rinks springing up and the more emphasis being put on college hockey, that there will be, within the next 10 years, a great number of Americans playing in the National League.
You were the first hockey player connected with a $100,000 contract in one breath. You know, a one-shot $100,000 contract, I suppose, plus extras. What's going to happen in, say, 5 years from now when there's more superstars come in? Is it going to be up to, say, $1 million for 5 years' performance? How high is it going to go? How much can a hockey player demand?
Speaking of your so-called superstars, B.D., there haven't been that many, and there won't be that many come in. Now, we've talked about Howe and about Richard and Mahavlich and Nikita and Orr. These guys don't come along only but just once in a little while, and I think we've had, in the last 10 years, more than our share of your superstars playing in the National Hockey League, and whether we're going to have in the next 10 years as many or not, I don't know. But the way the world is going and the cost of living and how everything is going up, I feel that there are going to be a number of $100,000 hockey players in the next few years. I can't see why not.
With all this talk of money, we're cutting into our fishing time. Let's get serious for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
we haven't had a strike in quite some time.
Well, let's get serious and fish a little bit for a while. Okay?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Does it mean a lot to you to get out and away from the hustle bustle of the city?
Speedy, it's been real hard for me to go any place and stay for any length of time and enjoy myself and really relax up until coming to this fishing resort here at Cree Lake. And I know if my wife, if you were talking to my wife, she'd tell you that anytime we've ever gone any place after about 2 days, I'm ready to go home, no matter where it's been. But being up here and being able to fish, and this is more my kind of living, where there aren't a lot of people around, where you don't have to be here at a certain spot or be there at a certain spot or have to attend some sort of function here or there and have all this on your mind. I've just been able to omit just about everything from my mind except relaxing and enjoying myself with the tremendous host and hostess here in Jerry and Lynn Hammerschmidt. It's just been great, and of course being with you and the CBC crew, it's been quite an experience, and I know that I speak for Walter and myself that this has been the most enjoyable 3 days that I've had in a long, long time. Just the thought of having to catch the plane back to Saskatoon isn't almost enough to spoil it all. I wish that we could stay here throughout the rest of the summer. This is the place to relax. All you can really hear is the splashing of the waves against the islands, the whistling of the wind in the trees, and the flapping of those two flags up there in the hills.
The odd, when you're in the boat, you get that sound of the reel. Just
oh yeah, that's living.
That's one of the off-season activities of hockey's Bobby Hull. In his new business activities in Western Canada, we wish him well. Our commentator was the CBC's Beatty Martin. And now we return to the tower diving finals at these Canadian Diving Championships.